Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it. Excitement, intimacy, confidence. Uberlube helps you feel all the things you want to feel by reducing friction and boosting pleasure. It's clean, body safe, latex compatible, and free of parabens or preservatives. Basically, it's sex lube done right. Want to try it out for yourself? Use code SEXEDWITHDB at uberlube.com for 10% off your purchase. We talk about sex ed all the time, but where do you actually shop when you're ready to explore? For me, it's all about Lion's Den. They've been breaking sex toy stigma since 1971, creating bright, welcoming stores and educational resources that help you feel good about what you like. Pleasure is personal, and Lion's Den gets that. Use code SEXEDWITHDB at lionsden.com for 15% off and follow Lion's Den Adult on Instagram and TikTok for giveaways and inspo. Flicking the bean, jilling off, menage a moi. All of these are creative and hilarious ways to say masturbation. For 21 days, I embarked on what started as a personal masturbation experiment with one of my all-time favorite vibes, the magic wand. The goal? To answer one burning question. What is the impact of daily magic wand use on my health, wellness, and sexual experiences compared to regular sexual activity and no sexual activity? Spoiler alert, the results were so surprising they inspired me and the Magic Wand team to turn this experiment into a full-fledged scientific study. Now 1,000 other people have experienced how consistent self-pleasure affects everything from mental health to sexual satisfaction. Want to see the results from the study? Head to magicwandstudy.com to check it out. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB, sex educator, pleasure expert with my Master's of Public Health from Columbia. What? And today we are diving into a question that came straight from one of you, from our anonymous questions box, from our link tree in our IG bio. Go ask a question. And the question is, how do I talk to my partner about using sex toys together? Such an amazing question. I cannot wait to answer this. And let's be real for a second. This question is not just about the toys themselves. It's about communication, vulnerability, expressing desire, pleasure, and you are in the right place because we are going to talk about all those things today. And I want to start by busting a myth. Sex toys are not just for single people. That is a huge misconception, and I have some science and data to back this up. So while a survey indicates that a majority of Americans own sex toys, the exact number who use them with partners specifically is not explicitly stated in the survey. The 2022 survey did reveal, though, that around 82% of women and a slightly lower percentage of men owned sex toys. So people definitely have them. It's just more about whether or not they're willing and wanting to use them with their partner. Another study showed that a majority of participants preferred using sex toys both alone and with a partner, but no specific number is really given for how many Americans use sex toys with their partners. But I want to share a little bit of data from a European study that was published in 2024 called Do Sex Toys Make Me Satisfied? The use of sex toys in Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, France, and the UK. And they found that more than half of the respondents owned or had owned a sex toy, with the most common sex toys owned being dildos and vibrators, followed by handcuffs, penis rings, and anal sex toys. And across these 6 countries, the majority of sex toy owners reported using these either alone or with a steady partner. So that was between 55 and 65% of participants. And a minority reported using them with casual partners, so closer to 10 or 15%. But what I do want to say is that queer couples in particular already incorporate sex toys as part of their regular sexual expression and intimacy, especially lesbian relationships and if two people have vulvas. For many queer folks, toys aren't a backup, they are the main event. So, yeah, really important to pay attention to what queer folks are doing when it comes to sex toy use in their partnerships. And in case you missed it, last week's episode with Dr. Candace was a deep dive into our new Magic Wand study, where we found that 1,000 people with vulvas who use the Magic Wand daily reported increased levels of happiness, stronger relationship connectivity, and greater body confidence. And that data isn't just affirming, it's a loud, hard yes to toys enhancing and not replacing connection with our partners. We will drop these two links of the European study and the Magic Wand study in the show notes if you want to learn more. So, moving on, I really want to go over like how to bring up this conversation. Like the data are clear. Using a sex toy with a partner legitimately can help increase intimacy, romantic intimacy, emotional intimacy, psychological intimacy between you and your partner. And it's really helpful if you have a few conversation starters to get things flowing. If you're somebody who really wants to bring up sex toys with your partner, but you're thinking, okay, but they don't want to, or in the past they haven't wanted to, or they see it as competition, like here are three things to just open up the conversation for you. So, number one, I heard this podcast where they talk about couples using sex toys together, and it made me really curious. What do you think about it? Number two, I read that using a sex toy together can actually increase intimacy. Would you be down to explore that with me? And number three, I want us both to feel as much pleasure as possible. Would you be open to trying something new together? So let's go over these bit by bit. And these aren't demands, right? These are openers. You're basically inviting your partner into this shared exploration and experience and not handing them homework. It's really just an opening conversation starter for you to learn more and see what your partner thinks. So let's go over number one again. You saying, I heard this podcast where they talked about couples using toys together. It made me curious. What do you think? So the goal here really is just for you to share, like, hey, I heard this thing and I want to know what's your overall feeling around using a sex toy together. The operative word here is curious, right? Like, you're not like, again, you're not demanding anything. It's really just opening the door, or even opening a window to what your partner would think of using a sex toy together, and the fact that couples use sex toys together and people are talking about it in podcasts. Like maybe that'll make them feel like this is less of a taboo thing. Number two, I read that using a toy together can actually increase intimacy. Would you be down to explore that with me? Again, we're kind of using this like science backed information to say, like, hey, like this isn't just anecdotal, like there is real science and there are real data points to show that couples have stronger connection when using sex toys. And then the third one, I love this one so much. I want us both to feel as much pleasure as possible. Would you be open to trying something new together? So this is centering that both of you are wanting your desires to be fulfilled and you're wanting pleasure. You're wanting to feel good. You're wanting to make sure that everything feels like a connection between you two. And pleasure is like the key there. And if sex toys are something that bring you a lot of pleasure independently, pressure. If sex toys are things that bring you and your partner independently pleasure, then why not try to figure out how this would feel when you do it together? Now, I'm going to recommend my top 3 sex toy recommendations for partner play. The first one is the Magic Wand Rechargeable, just because it's really great for external stimulation during all kinds of play. It works with solo and partner contexts. And again, our study literally backs up its pleasure boosting stats. The second one I want to recommend is a toy from WeVibe. It's called the WeVibe Chorus. And it's actually a wearable toy that's kind of like shaped like a C shape, kind of, but like more bendable than that. And it's a wearable toy for people with vulvas, and it's designed for couples to use during penetrative sex. So it's remote controlled, it's adjustable, it's great for mutual stimulation, and essentially it like rests both inside as well as on the clit. And then the person with the penis can also feel the extra sensations. So I would highly recommend that one. And then the third thing is just kind of a catch-all, strap-ons and harnesses. This is incredible for exploring power dynamics, for switching roles, opening up new kinds of connection. It's great for queer couples, but it's also great for straight folks. It's really great for everybody. All of these links are going to be in the show notes for you, so feel free to check them out there. So, speaking of what we can learn from queer relationships and queer sex toy culture, so queer folks often have to create their own blueprints for sex, right? Like this means more talking about it, more experimenting, more tools. And there aren't really like a ton of examples of like what this looks like in media, right? Which is why queer people have had to create their own sexual scripts and otherwise. And for queer people, especially in lesbian relationships, toys are not seen as a replacement, but as extensions of creativity, intimacy, and pleasure. And straight couples can really learn from this. It's really about detaching ego from orgasm and not being in the mindset of like, I need to be the one to make you come. Like you are making your partner come if you are using a sex toy on their body. It's like an extension of you, and getting curious instead of competitive. So I have a little role play exercise for you to do, and then I'll share my final take and say bye bye. But my role play exercise is what you can do with your partner if you're both open to it. Again, you can say like, my favorite podcaster, DB, shared this role play exercise, and no pressure, but like, are you down to try this? You can even like text them. So it's less pressure of like, are you down to try this later when you come home? Like, I can't wait to like get sexy with you, whatever you want to say to get them in the mood. Get sexy with you is not a thing, but you know what I mean? I can't wait to enjoy you. Like say something that gets them excited, right? So there are three parts to this role play exercise. The first one is creating a sex toy wish list separately. So each of you saying, listing three toys that you're curious about. Say that you want to like, buy something new for each other. The second one is coming together after you have that wish list and sharing one toy from your list each, the top one, and take turns explaining why it appeals to you. And then out of those two, the third thing is you want to pick one of those toys to try together. Just plan on one at a time and try the first one. Make a plan to explore it without any expectations. It's not just about the toy, it's about learning to say, here's what I want, here's what I desire. I want to know what you want. I want to know what you desire, and just giving it a try, right? No pressure. This is really about like expanding what you as a couple can add to your Rolodex of what gives you and each other pleasure. So here's my take is that using toys together is not about fixing something. It's not a sign that anything is wrong. It doesn't need to be a competition between your partner and the toy. It's actually a sign that you trust each other enough to explore and to open up your horizons. Asking to use toys together is asking for more connection, more exploration, vulnerability. And it's the sexual version of saying, I really care about your pleasure and I want this to be pleasurable for both of us. And that's super hot. So just a reminder there. So here is your pleasure practice of the week. Pick one of the conversation starters that I shared earlier in this episode and open up a conversation with your partner. You can plan it in advance. Texting is like a great way to do this if you and your partner are both at work and you ask them like, hey, I have a sexy question for you. Like, are you available? And then mention the conversation starter. And then you can say like, if you're down, let's talk about it when you get home. Devil emoji and like get them in the mood, right? And if you also, your pleasure practice of the week, if you haven't done this yet, go listen to last week's episode with Dr. Candace to get the full scoop on our magic wand study. I promise you will walk away with even more language, more confidence to spark these conversations. I can't wait to talk to you next week. We're going to have an amazing guest. I cannot wait. But until next time, keep talking, keep playing, keep prioritizing pleasure. I love y'all.